Oh yeah, Veronica Mars, I'm watching you. Private eye.
Hello and welcome to You're a Podcast, Veronica Mars. I am Joe.
And I'm Travis.
And today we are bringing you
Sorry, you look
Veronica
like you were going to
Mars.
say something.
I'm always going to say something, and I was, but I decided not to. But today we are here to talk about Veronica Mars Season 3, Episode 16. We're almost there, you guys. Un-American Graffiti.
I'm so confused what the moral of this episode is supposed to be, like what the message is supposed to be. So let's
this episode.
Yeah.
Let's go through the episode description. iTunes lets us know Veronica is hired by a Middle Eastern restaurant owner to find out who has been vandalizing the business with ethnic slurs. While investigating the case, Veronica and the woman's family are attacked.
Oh wow,
Which,
that's two sentences.
2 lines. I know. This is insane. And I mean, that's basically, the case.
That is, like, there was very little going on. Not that there was very little going on in this episode, but...
So, first of all, this, when the father, husband, restaurant owner guy gives his speech at the end, I was like, oh, this was written by a white man.
Of course it was.
So I went and checked, and Robert Hull. But he wrote Show Me the Monkey as well, or at least did the teleplay for it. And what I like about both episodes, because I did ultimately like this episode, there's some parts, and we'll get there. But I liked, there was a lot of, like, kids stuff. Well, not kids, but, like Veronica and the gang.
Well, I'm very
type
torn
of stuff.
because I like parts of this episode, but it was very, like, what was it, like, clunky. It was very clunky and very, like,
yes.
And maybe because I'm not American, it just felt very, like, America, fuck yeah. It was very weird.
Yeah. When just that whole end speech of, like, I want to forgive you. I get it. I love our troops too. I'm American. Let's assimilate. I'm just like, this is some straight white man nonsense.
Yeah, yes, of course, like, what's his name?
And he, like,
brother is in a wheelchair and is like a war veteran.
But he doesn't care. It's his brother that cares, because he and the whole Nasir with the flyer thing, like, that was so
like,
over
here's the moral,
the top.
The message
also,
I got from this episode is, because Nasir was an illegal immigrant, illegal immigrants are all terrorists.
Oh, God. And the fact that they had to have, like, the immigration scene come and pick him up. Like,
I don't understand why he had to have...
was not needed.
Why did he need to have an expired visa? Why couldn't he have just been there on a valid work visa or student visa?
Yes.
It was
because at the end of the day, we have to get the bad brown people out of here.
Weird, because then it's like, but shouldn't the owners of the restaurant be held at fault because they're the ones who are, like, allowing this to happen?
Harboring a terrorist?
Yeah. It was so
quote
weird.
unquote.
It was so weird. Like, I don't like when shows try to do this kind of stuff, because it always comes off as, like, white savior, because that's what Veronica definitely felt like. And then they made, like, the male owner of the restaurant very, like, traditional in his ways, but within, like, the 45 minutes he was like, I've come around, I see the light, my daughter can't be a Jew.
This episode is, for it to be called Un-American, it's very, very American episode. We won't bog down to the heavy of it, because that's not what this podcast is. But it's just there was this whole post 9/11 thing.
Yeah.
And this was only, 6 years after about that? Like, just this fear mongering. And then you would have, like, TV shows try to like step in and be like, you know what? Not all brown people are terrorists. You know, some of them are good, but we're going to show you a bad brown terrorist just so you know it's something you're accustomed to. Like,
and then it didn't help that he was very much in like more traditional clothing and like
oh my
hats.
God, yes.
It
and
was just
the
like,
fact that like at the end of the day, we went over there and destabilized their entire nation. Like the entire Middle East, we destabilized. And we're going to have him come back and give that flyer. Like there's a lot more subtle things they could have done. It felt very, very
also,
heavy-handed.
I just don't, it's like, he was not handing out, I feel like he was, the series was not going around handing out these flyers to just like wipe it. Like it just seemed very
dressed like that, like handing out these
but,
like haha, American soldiers are dying.
No one else said anything.
Bro, this is America post 9/11. Like he would have been like beaten the fuck up in the wherever he was handing them out. It was very tone deaf of an episode written by a white man.
Because we're supposed to like sympathize with like the clearly racist like white supremacists.
And then you have like Veronica is the one who's like, no, I'll call the cops on him, and they're like, no, we'll turn the other cheek because we're the good people. We're good.
It's
we
like,
don't care that terrorists was spray painted across our business twice.
Like, I almost kind of wish that the guy who was doing the spray painting wasn't like a criminal with like cards that like.
Oh my
God! I wish it was just like a. It would have been, I think, a little more palatable if it was just some like kid whose brother did just come back from like a war and was shot up and paralyzed, and he just has this wrong sense of American pride.
Yes, that would have at least.
And then that speech kind of like turned him, or like his brother, like whatever. But it was so like on the nose. Like he had the mullet, he had like the basically a fucking like what's the not the Union Jack, the
Confederate
flag basically like tattooed on his face. Like it was so over the top. I'm like, why couldn't it have just been like some high school kid who's like, because that can happen. Like your brother comes back from war and he's shot up, so of course you're gonna think they're bad.
You don't get what's like going on, like everything that's going on that you're being told in the media.
But we're supposed to sympathize with this.
The president's lying to you as well.
But instead, he's like this car thief piece of garbage, and we're just supposed to be like, oh, he doesn't know any better. Oh, poor white boy.
He slept with his sister.
Yeah.
Oh, poor guy. Like There are ways that he could have gone about to at least, like you said, make it palatable. Mm-hmm. At least show a viewpoint, because there's this fascination in American media, and we saw it over the past 4 years with Trump, with humanizing racism.
Oh my God!
Like this feels so relevant and like pulled from today's headlines of like, what makes this racist tick? Why do they like to be so racist?
Yeah.
Like, because they're racist. Like
Also,
I don't.
If they wanted to go with it, why did they just not make him full on racist? Why did he need like a brother
backstory?
Yeah. Or
a tragic backstory.
Racist.
Because that's what racists are just. Most times racist.
That's why I always
most times they don't have a tragic backstory.
Well, I always wonder that when I'm like watching shows that I like do episodes like this. I'm like, is the writer just super racist? And this is just the way of being like, I'm not a racist, guys. I'm not a racist.
Well, and then it implies like within it, like racism is so prevalent, but it's only because there's a tragic backstory attached to the racism that implies that like minorities are attacking.
I know.
People
like,
at like an alarming rate to make them this way.
It's like racists are only racist because the minorities are making them racist. It's the minorities' fault. Let's victim shame these minorities.
How dare you want equality? You know that scares them.
But I do the
that
only
scares
part
them.
about the speech I liked at the end when he's like, "None of us are from here," and like, because I think that's something Americans forget is like, you're not. You guys didn't start there. You guys came in and raped the lands and the people.
We destroyed everything and everyone. Okay, I don't think I have many notes.
Oh my god, I wrote like no notes for this part of the story because it was like the least. Like,
yeah. Okay, I do have one thing that I really is probably my least favorite part of the episode. Even outside of the stupid speech. Okay, so like I was saying, like post 9/11, acts of violence and like racism were pretty prevalent against anyone brown skinned from the Middle East. But the paintball scene was so badly directed.
Yeah.
Like, it felt like they were making fun of the situation.
But it also felt like Veronica was in like a completely different house.
And then, like, her, like, dive, slow motion. Like, it just felt so stupid. Like,
and like
I was
the slow-mo.
okay.
I get what they were trying to do, but it did not work.
It was just badly done. It was badly done.
But I did like when she, like, confronted, like, the teenagers.
Yes.
That was cute. And we get one more South Park line.
A South Park reference.
It took me a second when she called him Towley. It almost went over my head. I'm like, oh, it's because he's high. I get it, guys. I watched South Park.
Those kids were so stoned.
But also, like, they were TV stoned.
Yeah. But I don't know. I've known a few people who are just, like, zonked the fuck out and don't know what's happening.
But it's funny when they get like teenagers to be like, okay guys, play stoned, and you're like, they've probably never been stoned before.
Also, like 13 years ago 13 years ago, weed was a whole nother drug. It was not talked about as loosely, to at least as fun as it is now. Like, whether or not people were doing it, it wasn't talked about as loosely in a casual way. So I guess we have, like, the Veronica and kids stuff, and then, like, the Keith stuff.
Stop calling them kids. It's weird.
I know, but that's still, like...
It's only because there is an actual, like, Veronica and kids scene in this episode.
So that's right.
Going to. And I'm like, that. I don't think that deserves its own, like, subcategory.
That was a funny moment. I loved her.
And who has a big yellow truck?
And the teacher was just like, what does this have to do with anything? Like, I was ready for her.
I also did like the idea of Veronica, like, now an adult following a child to their home.
I don't know. And, Veronica,
as we know now, is above the law. Veronica is part of the law.
Oh, yeah. And Keith finds out. But I just loved her whole, we all need firemen. Which, also rude, because firemen are great.
Firemen,
great
like,
people.
but also, you gotta remember, like, the firemen in Neptune are the ones that hit on a 16-year-old.
Oh, so Smokey the Barely Legal.
So,
way to bring it around, Veronica.
Bring it around.
Way to bring
but that was a deep cut, and if you didn't pick it up, you're not a real Veronica Mars fan.
Robert Hull out here giving the real Easter eggs for Veronica Mars fans. Do you want to get through with the Keith stuff? Because I have more Veronica stuff than anything.
Yeah, let's do the Keith stuff, because I actually like the Keith stuff.
I really enjoyed it because, like, especially once he, like, fires the
cops
end.
That aren't, like, I really liked it at the end.
Yes. Well, because, like, this story would have worked better. This works well in a vacuum. Not so well knowing what happens in episode 20 with him losing the election because of Veronica.
Well, so it's very weird as I was watching this, and the owner of the bar is talking about how he, like, lines the police, he buys the ticket and blah blah blah. But, like, it feels Keith was sheriff like 4 years ago. It feels very disconnected. It feels like Keith was sheriff like 10 years ago, and now the city's just fallen apart. It's been a very small time gap because if you think, basically, what, a year before season 1 is when he stopped being sheriff? So it's been like 3.5 years. Like 4 years. It just feels like so much has changed. I'm like, I don't think that's really how the world works. Like, I don't think Lamb, like, did Lamb just come in and is like, okay, guys, day one, bribes.
Yes.
But it also makes me wonder, like, I
think that might be actually the most realistic part.
But I also strongly believe that, like, I wish we would have seen more of Keith running the sheriff's department prior to season 1, because all we really see is just him, like, on the Lily Kane murder case and, like, interviewing people, but we don't actually see, like, the day in and outs of the sheriff's department. I would like to see, was it just as bad then as it is now?
I was gonna say, I do think that, like, it's a little heavy-handed in terms of, like, Keith's time at the sheriff's department was corruption-free.
Yeah.
Neptune was a blossoming oasis, and nothing bad happened. Like, so that's also where, like, I feel this story could have benefited, is instead of it being Veronica's fault that he gets, like, doesn't get re-election, it should have been that, like, higher up from him is pushing him out of it. They see that he's pulling the corruption out, and they're like, no. This goes further than, like, the sheriff's department. And, like, that's what gets Keith to not be the sheriff, and the corruption, like, presumes in Neptune. Like, it being that it's Veronica it's a personal blow, and it hurts, and it's gonna hurt us as a story, but, like, I think what would benefited the story more and, like, Neptune more, and seeing that would have been Keith being pushed out by, like, the new mayor or, like, a governor or something. Like, have we seen the governor
I don't think
California,
so.
like, step in? Like, I mean, I guess would that have been Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Can you imagine? He would have done it. I believe he would have done it.
I'll be back, Keith, if you do not
but it's also,
keep this corruption in here.
The problem is this show is, it has to be like a teen drama. Like, it has to be a certain thing. So we never get to explore, like, the hierarchy of Neptune, which I think would have been so interesting. But that's not what the show was trying to be. And in season 4, Neptune is such a different beast that it's not as interesting because it's no longer a small town.
Yeah, and, like, the show is very clearly anti-cop. Like, in every
it's very
sense,
anti-cop, except for when Keith is around, then it's
exactly
pro-cop, and it's so weird.
Keith kind of represents, like, that that liberal ideology of good cops.
Yeah.
And I think what would have benefited is, like, there can't be a good cop if there's not good above him.
Yes.
Or her. Didn't mean that. But, like, if the corruption runs high and, like, deep, like, there's no such thing as a good mayor, a good cop, a good anything in government if the corruption is there. Because someone's going to come along and corrupt it. And that kind of was wasted with, like, Veronica made me steal the election, but then I guess you have it. Keith can be corrupted, and that also works. But I think as a whole for Neptune, it would have been better if, like, the mayor stepped in to push Keith out. And I think that's really all I have out of it. I loved, like, Piz and Wallace interacting with Keith. Like, that was cute.
I don't like that Keith has a nickname for Piz. It felt weird.
Stosh?
Yeah.
Everyone kind of nicknames him Stosh, because that's his last...
But I feel like no one else calls him that.
Or his first name. That's his first name. Sorry, that's not a nickname. That is his first name. His name is Stosh Biznarski.
Oh, that's right. His is not his name. I'll take it back. I also... what I did like then was... Keith seemed to be on a very, like, casual basis with Piz, which was weird, because, like, Piz has not been in, like,
they've only
last,
met
like,
once?
5 episodes.
And I think they've only met, like, once.
Yeah.
Right?
But I liked him and Wallace. I love when he gets the IDs and he's like, I guess I don't need to you don't need to tell me where you got these from.
He knows.
And then they're on the fridge when Veronica wakes up and he's like giving her, like, almost... See, this is why Veronica does stuff like this. Because, like, as he was, like, berating her, he was also kind of complimenting her on how great they are.
This is horrible. I knew they were yours because they are perfect. And then, like, these are beautiful.
It got so, like, this episode's very heavy-handed with, like, Piz and Wallace, like, why did that kid need to get hit by a car at the beginning? It was just so, like, underage drinking is bad. But then You've been showing all your characters for the last 3 years underage drinking.
Veronica's taking a hit of the fun flask from
Oh my
Dick.
god, that's the thing. The moral of this episode is like underage drinking is bad, but then you end the episode with your main character taking a shot of something.
It makes no
So we don't get what it's supposed to be. And it's just very much like when he's going to Veronica, it's like, are you gonna tell their parents what happened? Huh? And it's like, come on, Keith.
Yeah, because I'll be drunk while I'm doing it,
Like,
Dad.
but like,
What up?
Keith, you've encouraged this bad behavior, so you have no one to blame but yourself.
I do appreciate the scene, but yeah, it was very, like, the whole, are you going to tell their parents? Wasn't, like, because first of all, where the fuck is Alicia? Where's Alicia? Veronica can't tell her. She doesn't know where the fuck she is. Where's his dad? Somewhere in Chicago. We don't know. So, like, sure, Keith. I'll tell Wallace's parents. I don't know where the fuck in Beaverton, Oregon, Piz's parents are, so yeah, I'll tell them too.
I like that Sax. I find Sax to be a very interesting character because he falls in line to whoever is in charge. Like he's 100% on Keith's side, like that. And it's like,
yeah,
I guess that's good to have as like a deputy, but it's also, I don't know. I don't trust Sax because he aligns with authority and he gets like a hard on for authority.
The more like Sax on the surface is a very lovable person, but once you start to dig into it, you're right. It's very of the we were just following orders.
Yes.
Ilk, which is probably one of the scariest things to come across in life.
Yeah.
Because all it takes is one bad leader, and what is Sax like heading the new ice agency in Neptune? Like,
yeah, it's so weird.
What's going on? Yeah, I'll let you say that. I feel gross having wrote Sax being defensive of Keith. Ooh.
It just came out very creepy for me because it was the same way around Lamb. He was very supportive and follow, like I'm just doing what I'm told. You can't hold me accountable. I shot these kids because I was told to shoot these kids. I have no responsibility.
Yes. Yeah. I can't use my brain.
Yeah.
I was being told things. Okay, yeah, that's think all.
I just have one more thing about
on
this
that.
part. At the end, when all the cops, like the 4 cops, are fired, I feel like that's not really how it works. Like,
I don't think so either, especially as an acting sheriff.
Also, I'm pretty sure, like, I don't know about the sheriff's department. I don't know how it really works in the States, but are cops not, like, unionized?
Oh, I don't want to say that's the problem, because union's good. The problem is just the cops union itself. Like, it's not just unionized. It has its own...
I'm part of a union, and it's, like, the biggest joke in the world. But I'm pretty sure you can't... because when you're in a union, you can't just get fired. Like, I learned I can physically attack a coworker of mine... But you get one, because then they had to send you to anger.
You get one.
Then they had to send you to anger management, and then they can't fire you. They need to send you. to
Okay, this
anger
is
management.
Canada. I don't think it works like
And
that
then,
here.
but the
I'm just gonna
second
be
time you get
honest.
fired, but they had to give you at least one chance. So you're like, save it for someone you really hate.
Take their eye while you're at it.
Yeah. So I can't see Keith walking in and being like, get fired, because that's not really how.
I don't think
that's how it works. But it was a nice end to the story. Like, oh yeah. But this is also them trying to push it really hard that Keith is the only good cop ever. And it's like,
actually,
but Keith kind of sucks.
That would have been a good thing also. Like, Keith firing these 4, I think it was. And then the union steps in to... like, push him out. Like, again, something like real world. If, like, union's job, like, no matter if a cop kills someone for just existing, the union's like, no, but you don't understand. They were a cop and they had to.
Yeah.
You don't get it. Like, that would have been a good way to push Keith out. There's just so many ways to show, like, that I don't know. Neptune as a whole is corrupt,
But I
and
don't
Keith
think
coming
the
in and
show
his little
wanted to
badge isn't
go
going to fix
there,
it.
which is weird, because season 3 dealing with like a corrupt Neptune would have been so interesting.
Or even setting it up for a season 4. Like, not even, like, have 3 as your transition college year. And then 4 be that, like, holy shit, Neptune is worse than we ever thought. Like, that would have been so good. I feel.
I agree.
Talk.
And because Neptune is such a high population of the rich and elite, it would make sense that it's corrupt. It would make 100% sense.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. And it's so relevant to today. This is gross.
Well, now that
like,
I'm thinking about season
so well.
3, that's I think one of my issues with season 3 of Veronica Mars is it doesn't feel like the same Neptune we were in the first 2 seasons. Maybe because we spent so much time in the college, but it just doesn't feel like the same town. It doesn't have that haves versus the have-nots vibe going to it.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
And it just feels like that upper class part is not really touched on this year, and it's weird.
Like, barely, like in the smallest way.
Yeah, and it's weird.
It is. Speaking of weird, I'm going to transition us to the Veronica stuff. The Veronica Logan scene at the beginning was cute.
I hate how much I liked it. I hate how much I enjoyed it.
The only thing that was weird about it was their whole, like, West Wing Gilmore Girls, like, walk around the cafeteria moment, like, where they're just walking in a big circle around. It's like West Wing walking down the hallway or, like, Gilmore Girls walking around the gazebo type situation. But it was such a good, like, them scene. Like, it felt like them just being friends and not some weird undercurrent of sexual tension.
But then my problem is Veronica's kind of, not like a bitch, but Veronica's very Veronica, when she's like, how much do I owe you? And you know Logan's like, $1. Okay, Veronica, calm the fuck down.
Like, I remember at the end of season 2, you were having issues with how they were doing this type of scene with them, where you're saying, like, it didn't feel earned, where I'm guessing you feel it feels earned here.
It feels
after
earned
what
now,
we've been through with this season.
Because they had an actual adult relationship, and then also an adult parting.
Breakup. Parting? A parting of the ways.
And my only issue this episode with them, this is not even them. I have issues with Parker this episode. I don't know if it's I'm reading it very differently than it was supposed to be read. But Parker just comes like Parker giving.
Go on. Well, go with this now.
Huh?
Go with this now. Go with this now. Tell me what.
Parker giving Veronica Logan's face as the cake was the most passive aggressive cunty thing in the world. Like, because especially since she's just like, I'm really glad you're here, blah blah blah. Like, I'm glad this wasn't awkward. And then she gives her the cake, and then kind of like the look she gives her is like, so what the fuck, Parker?
Because she keeps staring at her as Veronica's walking away. Like, someone else walks up and Parker is still staring at Veronica.
I don't know if it was filmed. It didn't read properly. I was so confused because they just had this lovely little conversation.
In my heart of hearts, what happened was Parker wasn't paying attention and she just hands it to them. And the person who wrote the script didn't write that in there. They just, like, whoever was directing it was like, you know, it'd be really funny. Let's do this. And they give Veronica the cake. And then, like, so there was no, like, audible thing towards it, was it? It was just, like, Veronica sees the cake and, like, gives a look, and Parker is looking on.
Like, it would have been... I don't know.
Like, I feel like the look was more, like, Parker's just, like, looking after Veronica.
Yeah.
Like, I hope we're still friends type thing, not like, I just gave you his face, bitch.
But
like, what are you gonna do? What, you gonna start a fight in the middle of this party? My party?
Weirdly. And I hated every second of it. I'm like, you just wrecked all the goodwill I had towards these 3 people. And also, like, Parker and Logan have only been dating for, like, I mean, I don't know. Again,
oh my God.
I don't know how long it's been between episodes. Like, I don't know where we are in the timeline, but I feel like it's very soon for them to be throwing each other birthday parties.
I feel like it's at least been a couple months, and at that age, I feel that's appropriate.
This is, I guess, fair. And I like...
Because they're like 19
Yeah,
and in college, so like a reason to throw a party. Let's throw a party.
I was just very... Also, why did Logan get like a Costco sheet cake for Parker?
And she looked so thrilled by it.
No.
Like she was... I'm guessing it was like the bakery that it was from. But
it looked like a Costco sheet cake.
It felt weird.
It did not look like
it looked like a Costco sheet cake.
Because when I worked at Dairy Queen, we'd print out photos like that on top of cakes. It's just rice paper you print on. It's not fancy.
Yeah. No, yeah. In my head, for some reason, I remember the picture being the entire cake.
I know. I almost wish it was.
So I'm glad I'm glad it wasn't. But I'm thinking I'm just remembering the fact that Veronica just got the entirety of Logan's head on her piece.
Just like not even the head, just the face. Just the
like,
face.
She cropped it perfectly to get. She's like, you. Like each slice was like, you fucking bitch, die, scoop.
Because because if you watch that scene, it feels like Parker doesn't want Veronica there, but the entire episode
Parker wants Veronica dead.
The entire episode is Parker being like, "You're coming to my party, right, Veronica? You're coming because I have a surprise for you."
Oh my god, she had that like before Veronica even walked up. She had that like piece like cut out, ready to go.
It's
like somebody's
it's
like,
the only
"Oh, can
piece
I
of
have
cake
that one?" She's like,
cut
"No,
out.
no, this is for Veronica."
Okay, so it's as the two of them are talking, you can see the cake behind them, and like the edges cut out. They're not even at the Logan.
Yes, they're not even there.
So she
went out of her way, destroyed other parts of the cake to get her this piece.
It was just I think you're right. I think the
level of petty is astronomical.
I think you're right. The director thought it would have been like a funny thing, and it does not land at all. And actually. And it really bugs me that no one stepped in, because it's kind of wrecks a lot of character development for these two.
I think they might have thought it would have looked more natural, like an accident. But again, I think it was more the director.
Because it doesn't...
And I think at the point where someone probably saw it that could have done something...
It was too late.
It's a CW show, so it was like, I don't really fucking
We don't
care
have the
what
money
look
to
she gets.
digitally alter this piece of cake.
Yeah, exactly. So, but they even could have just like cut that part out completely. But I think, I just think at that point it was a CW show, so they don't.
It was just, I don't know. This is also kind of what soured me by the end. It's also the last part of this episode I don't like. But okay, I like the Mac Logan stuff was fucking on point.
So
I don't know why
really
I love them so much.
Well, I'm really upset that we find out that they've been hanging out a lot off screen. I'm like, I would have loved to see that on screen.
No.
And like just the whole scene, like with them at the cafeteria, and then I wish we would have gotten a bit more at the party of Mac and Logan.
But I really liked Mac and Mac, so I'm okay with that.
Oh. Yeah, they're adorable together. Oh my god. Okay, speaking of Mac, and this is like one of my favorite Mac moments of the series, and it's at the beginning where she's like, yeah, me and Bronson woke up this morning to go hiking. And Veronica's like, you?
I wanted to see what the
hiking in the morning?
It's sunny.
It's sunny. It's just the great. She's like, I could do it. What? Don't. I am a woman of mystery, Veronica. You can't label me one thing, but also I am never getting up that goddamn early again. Like you could see that, like that was kind of
Bronson pushed Mac into the arms of Max.
Like, I'm sorry, but I would never push someone into going hiking in the morning if they are not like a morning person or a hiking person. Like you have to be one of the two.
It's true. I used to hike every Sunday morning, and I haven't been able to do it lately, but it's fun. I really enjoyed when Veronica, when Max comes in and Veronica's like, "Oh yeah, Mac, this is Max," and then she gets up, she's like, "Guard the couch. One of you decide who's changing your names."
Yes. I love that they played into that, and it's funny that I guess Max wasn't introduced in episode 10, but Max was in episode 10, right?
I think so.
Show me the monkey. Ooh. No, that was the PETA. That was the Bronson episode. Never mind.
But
so he wrote the last episode where we introduced a new love interest for Mac. That's cute.
I died. It's been a very long time since cackled laughing watching Veronica Mars, but when Max asks Mac if his friends hired him, I actually laughed.
Cackled.
Like
I wrote that down. I just cackled.
Funny. Because it took me, because I forgot about how he was introduced, and it was so funny. And then just Mac's reaction of like, why would you ask me that?
And I love that he was like super impressed with the purity test
that
Mac did back in high school. And she like kind of talks up Veronica. She's like, yeah, Veronica caught me, but she didn't turn me
we've been friends.
We're cool like that. This was this is like a good episode. It's just there's some weird stuff about it, and the pacing is weird, and it feels longer than. So you remember how like other episode you were like, oh, I didn't even feel like this episode was long. Like I was really into it. Like I couldn't tell it was. This is kind of the opposite. I was like, oh, I still have 20 minutes left.
I think the problem is,
right?
This stuff is so fun and enjoyable, but it's bogged down by all like the terrorist stuff. Because as we're talking, I keep remembering, I'm like, oh yeah, the terrorist stuff happened in this episode too, didn't it?
Also, going back to the terrorist stuff, one scene I forgot about is the 1 hour photo scene. Which, part of it, funny, yes. Other part, Veronica using the term desert fever sits in the weirdest way with me, in the worst spot.
Yeah.
That just felt wrong.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I wanted to say with that. But other than that, I liked the whole... the 1 hour photo and her like, yeah, that's my boyfriend. Like, duh, why are you... What do you mean he can't be my boyfriend?
That's racist on you.
You. But yeah, that was just my whole part with Nasir. They did Nasir so dirty in this episode.
Oh my god. But like, I like when Veronica was talking to What's-Her-Face and she's like, I get it. I'm like, he was very...
Oh yeah. Like, and she's like, yeah, if it wasn't for the whole like... indentured servitude, like definitely would be about that, because yeah, he's hot, but want my own opinion. Or random line that I liked from Veronica when Keith is like grilling her about whether or not she goes out partying. She's like, oh yeah, like the fake IDs are so lax, they really don't check. And he's like, She's like, the only buckets I order come in original and extra crispy. I'm like, as someone that doesn't drink but loves fried chicken, I feel that. Thank you, Veronica.
I enjoyed when Keith is like, oh, like, where's the parties? And Veronica's like, let me just put down my stuff, you party animal.
I love those moments with them. Oh, it's so cute.
The dick stuff, it was weird. I still don't understand why Logan's friends with Dick. I also don't understand why... what?
Veronica drank from his flask?
I wrote that. I'm like, Veronica, why would you drink from his flask?
For one, she probably now has herpes. For two, he drugged and raped Madison.
He's also just
Do you think he wouldn't drug himself
like
to have a good time?
Disease.
He's talked about like how he has like given himself GHB to have a fun time. Like, I wouldn't. Also,
is that why Veronica?
Also,
I'm gonna say that's why Veronica and the whole piss stuff is because Dick drugged her.
Maybe. But the people who were very Veronica isn't Veronica in season 4 because she's drinking and partying and no. So I'm guessing you gave up on the show here and you didn't want the movie or season 4 to initially come out because this isn't the Veronica that you know. This isn't the Veronica that you gave money to watch the previous season. Like, it's just, like, people calm the fuck down. Veronica has done some, like, stupid shit throughout her life. Just because she does some stupid shit as an adult doesn't make her not the character anymore. Calm the fuck down.
I will say I don't understand the point of the Dick stuff with the whole MySpace girls.
Which, MySpace throwback.
Yeah.
Loved it.
It was just very... I'm like, why are we dealing with... Like, there's no real anything
It didn't really do anything. I would have rather had more...
I think it was like the writer's like, I wonder if I get 2 girls to kiss in this episode. I think you can do it, dude. I think you can do it.
But they didn't even do that. Like, you could tell, like, their head was going behind the other head in the silhouette. But like, I would have loved just like a Mac and Logan scene instead of like whatever Dick was doing. Like, I didn't care.
So I guess we can talk about the Piz and Veronica stuff. If you have anything else.
Before we go on to Piz, the last thing I want to talk about is back when she's busting the stoner kids or whatever, and she's like watching. They're like, "We're not racist. We paintball everybody," and they're showing the video, and it shows them like taking down Clemens, and she gets so pissed off about it, and I love that. And I'm just, that felt so good in my heart, like. Just to see her like get so defensive over She's like, no, that is my ex-principal.
I love that they brought in Clemens, and he got paid for a day for basically a 2-second scene of him. You can't even tell it's him. But I really
they could have used a double.
I know. At first I thought it was a double because you don't.
But they show his face clearly.
I guess. I'm like, and then he was credited. I'm like, Good for him. Get that day pay.
And I really liked like her banter with like the kids or whatever, because she was like just going so like rapid with them. She's like, say that again. I dare ya. I double dare ya.
What?
And then check out the big brain on Brett. Like, she's just so over these stoner kids, and I loved that moment. But all right, let's talk about Stash Piznarski and Veronica.
So one of my notes is just Piz is gross. Piz is gross. And
that whole like
we haven't seen Piz in like, I want to say 4 episodes. It's been a big gap since Piz has had anything to do with this show, because he wasn't in the group Valentine's Day Hunt, and he hasn't really been around for the Dean's murder mystery. So they haven't really been able to build the Veronica-Piz relationship at all.
At all.
Because the Parker-Logan stuff felt actually kind of natural. Like, it didn't feel forced.
We got at least got bits where it was two-sided.
Yeah.
It felt two-sided. The whole thing between Veronica and Piz has felt so one-sided and in such a creepy way. Mm-hmm. Like, it doesn't feel like they've done anything to go past that. Like, so we've gone from like creepy stalker Piz to kissing her on a balcony.
Because like when Wallace is talking to Veronica and is like, "Oh, cut the poor. You know he has a crush on you. You're not that dumb." And Veronica's like, "What? He has a crush on me? No."
Not me.
And it's true. Veronica's not that dumb. Veronica's very good at reading people, so it just seems very random that she would not pick up on the fact that Piz pretty much just jerks off to her every night. Like, she would know.
I do. So I want to be on your side with that.
But also, Veronica is 100%
agree.
oblivious to the world around her. Yes, I get it.
That, and the fact that, like, a lot of times when, like, a person is being flirted with, they don't pick up on it, because a lot of people, like, what?
You're like,
why would
speaking
you,
from
like,
experience.
Okay, listen. I consider myself a smart person of sorts, at least streetwise, not academia-wise. Tell you that much.
What's a buck?
But like, I could never pick up being flirted with to save my life.
That's fair.
Like, unless someone has their tongue down my throat, and even then I'm like, but are they really?
I think he's just trying to give me CPR.
Maybe he tripped. I don't know.
Okay, that's fair. I get it.
But I agree. Like, also, it's been so done at this point that she even had that realization with when she was like trying to bribe the judge or whatever. So this isn't brand new.
Yes.
Like, at this point, I agree with you. But like prior to this, like, I'll give her the benefit of the doubt. But episode 16 in, after this has been talked about a couple times, no, you're just being
well, it's mean. Weird. Like,
and
earlier in the sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say she's being mean, and Wallace is right. Like, just put him out of his misery.
Well, earlier on in the episode when she comes to Wallace and Piz and is like, hey guys, she's holding onto Piz's arm and is like stroking his arm. And it was
and holding it longer than Wallace.
It was very weird
because Wallace kind of like
it was
don't touch
strange. It was very much them trying to set these seeds, but very quickly. And it's
yeah.
And then
I think that honestly, actually, I thought that scene was like one of the good parts of like kind of subtly showing that, because like it didn't emphasize it or anything. It was kind of there, and you wouldn't really pick up on it unless you were looking for like, that. But I agree. Like it was very like, oh, okay, you're doing this.
I just don't. I don't care that Veronica's dating someone else. I just wish.
No, not at all. Please do.
Please do. But every relationship she's been in on this show has at least like, there's been some sort of lead up, or at least, I don't know. Because like when she was dating Troy, they worked. It weirdly worked. Like they had good chemistry.
They were also high school students that were going to high school together.
It just, Piz and Veronica have no chemistry. Unfortunately, the actors just don't have chemistry.
No, I would have no issue probably with this story if it was like Jason Dohring and her. Like,
yes.
I forgive a lot of season 1 and 2 Veronica and Logan because of that chemistry. It's just hard not to.
As I'm not a huge love fan, I get why they went that path. You can see it in season 1, their chemistry, and unfortunately, her and Teddy Dunn did not have the same chemistry. And if I was
they have more chemistry than her and Chris Lowell.
If I was the creator on the show or the writer, I would definitely agree and be like,
pivot hard.
We need to get Logan and Veronica together. It works. It works so well.
It does. And even, like, I don't even think this is an issue of, like, they don't have enough chemistry as, like, Jason and Kristen do. I think it's they have zero chemistry. The fact that Teddy Dunn and Kristen Bell have more chemistry than
I'll give it.
Kristen and Chris.
Teddy Dunn and Kristen Bell finally got chemistry as they were writing
at the end.
Notes.
Well, because they wrote Duncan in a more, like a looser way.
Yes.
Like, he was so uptight in season 1, which understandable. Like, I get it. Like, they had a whole story for him, and that made sense. But, like, once they started to let him loosen up and, like, joke with Veronica a bit, and you got to see that bit, you're like, oh, like, they're kind of cute together.
And I understand why they had this true love, first love thing.
Whereas with Piz, it's just like, this guy is a creepy stalker that has a little bit too much of a hard-on for her.
It also makes it, like, it's this weird, I don't know, like, again, I don't want to, like, hammer into the writer, because I think we've really just put him on a...
I've given him lots of praise in this. Okay. He can have some...
It feels very much like that straight white boy fantasy, and maybe it's just the whole creator team.
Yes,
it's probably because it comes from Rob
this
Thomas.
Is also Rob. Yeah. This is Rob Thomas.
It's like,
this isn't Robert Hull.
It just feels very much like the nerdy guy is gonna get the hot chick in the end, and but at the end of the day, like, Piz is a very attractive man. It's not like they casted someone who was not traditionally hot,
like Max.
I was gonna say,
would be what you would call traditionally hot. I think he's attractive. But like, he wouldn't be. They would go for like a Chris Lowell before him to headline a movie.
Yes. Like
a movie about, like,
if it was Max, if Piz was like played by an actor like Max's actor, I think it would have made more sense.
It would have made more sense, but also I think him and Kristen Bell have better chemistry.
Max and Veronica have great chemistry. I would have loved them to see them together. I think they actually really. It was their. They would have been cute. It was amazing.
That would have been good. Oh my god. Side note for Max again. I loved Mac being all like, oh, so you're a business major, right? He's like, actually, philosophy. She's like, shut the fuck
up. I like how they brought that up a couple times.
I am so wet right now. She was so happy about that. Like, that couch got so fucking water blasted from that moment.
That's why the cleaner's coming tomorrow.
Mac done flooded her basement. The only thing I really wrote down for, like, Piz and Veronica, though, like, I didn't even write down anything. The only thing I wrote was I absolutely loved, for the deliciousness of it, the elevator opening while they're kissing and Logan walking out, because it's such like a a 180 to her walking out of an elevator and seeing him in some position. And I loved Logan's expression in it. It was a very taken aback, but then I'm a cool Logan. Like, I'm a cool Logan now. Because he even brings up, like, I was preparing myself for you to bring someone here today.
Well, that's the thing.
Like, I really loved that moment.
I'm glad he doesn't flip out, because you can't have him being dating Parker and then flip out.
No. Because that's like Duncan flipping out over Veronica dating Logan and beating the shit out of that car. Like, poor Meg.
Duncan!
Like, can you just imagine Parker in the corner? Logan, what are you doing? Stop punching the TV. Logan. This is about Veronica, isn't it?
All these blondes want to be Veronica, and none of them ever will be. They never will be.
The parallels. All right. Honestly, that's all I have for this episode at this point. I think I've got everything I needed to say about it. Al, do you have anything else?
No. My big, I have in big writing on my notes is, what was the message this episode supposed to be? Because I'm still very confused.
I am right there with you.
That the white straight male always comes on top? That's what I'm getting.
That he won't get arrested for his crimes against minorities? Wow. Wow. It's like the real world.
It's progressive. They turn the cheek. They're the better people.
Fictional TV show characters. They're just like us.
That's pretty much all. This episode is very weird. I like it, but I also don't like it. I don't know how to feel about this episode, to be honest with you.
I'm right there with you. So before we get into the segments, all I want to say is if you have not taken the time to go onto marvel.com/X-Men vote, be sure to go and vote for who's going to join the X-Men team.
I don't even understand what
very important. They have, so basically what's happening is they have like a new X-Men team coming out, but they're reserving one spot for a fan-picked X-Men.
Like this.
So they're giving 10 choices.
Already picked, but whatever.
I hope not. No, because it's just fun just because people are making like posters over this, over who they want. They're making like anti
like
people.
Smear ads?
It's just smear ads. That's what I'm trying to. They're like smear ads. It's so fucking good. Either way, go and vote. If you could vote for Tempo or Polaris, that'd be great. Okay, let's get into some segments.
Oh, I'm voting for Armor.
Armor is in S.H.I.E.L.D. already.
I love Armor.
Or not S.H.I.E.L.D. Armor is in S.W.O.R.D. already. She is in a book. Polaris is also in a book, but it's Polaris, so I mean, give it to her.
Armor was like one of my favorite characters in that Joss Whedon
Armor is great, but you could see Armor
Boom Boom.
in
I like Boom
S.W.O.R.D.
Boom.
Okay, I would take Boom Boom too. Boom Boom is great. You want to talk to someone who's anti-cop? Let's talk about Boom Boom. Which would be a great fit for the X-Men right now. But or Marrow. Marrow is also a good pick.
I thought Banshee
Marrow's
was
a fun
the girl
Warlock.
one. Who's the girl Banshee?
Siren? Oh my god, there's this smear ad on Twitter. It's basically like Banshee literally needs to scream to fly. Just take that in for a minute.
You're like, people like Banshee, people fly without screaming. This whole thing, I am so glad I found X-Men Twitter because it is the funniest part of Twitter I've ever been a part of. It is so much fun. Okay, sorry. Let's talk about. I shouldn't have opened that page.
I don't but go there, vote. Vote for Tempo or Boom Boom.
Know who the fuck Tempo
Just don't vote for a man. Don't vote for Forge. Don't vote for Banshee.
Forge is a fan favorite. Forge is a weird.
Forge is great, but Forge is also doing stuff right now with X-Force. Let him. Let the people that don't have a book have a book.
I'm voting for Strong Guy. I don't know who it is, but I'm voting for it.
Okay, Strong Guy is the most random pick in this. People are like, who's Tempo? Who the fuck is Strong
I don't know who
Guy?
Tempo is.
Tempo had a little bit of a run. She was part of the mutant.
Well, the photo they used for her is from the 90s, so that's clearly how recent she is.
Right, she hasn't had a time to shine in a while. All these
fashion.
As kind of a side project, I dispense fashion advice.
So honestly, I don't have much on this.
I have a few things, but go ahead.
Anything that Amira was wearing looked beautiful, but also she is stunning. So I don't know which was which.
I like how they try to. I forgot to mention in my notes, but I did like how it felt.
She brings up pirate points?
Yeah, because it's like we don't ever see her actually in the show in high school, but it's a nice little callback because you kind of pick where she was at the time, and she's like,
Yep.
Yeah, well, in season 1, I was a senior, and you got rid of my pirate points, bitch. But also, Duncan didn't get rid of the pirate points. He just expanded them to everyone. Okay, so calm down.
I'm thinking, okay, what I'm thinking happened, though, it wasn't that. I'm thinking she did something, and Veronica got her caught and got her pirate points taken away. Because I was thinking the same thing. I was like, but Duncan did that, and he just, like, redistributed them. He didn't, like, cancel.
Was this like a long-lost episode with, what's-her-face? With Miss,
Miss Dent?
Miss Dent? This was a Miss Dent.
Yes!
Okay.
Oh my god, Miss Dent, like, worked with Veronica and, like, got Amira to take... Oh my god.
And this was clearly a Madison episode, too.
No, it wasn't Miss Dent because women of color got to stick together around Veronica. It was Miss Hauser. Veronica teamed up with Miss Hauser because that would be a little more accurate. Miss Hauser would be like, yeah, that little brown girl does not look like she's up to any good.
Okay,
Veronica,
so
you're
this
right.
was a season 2 episode, and then Jackie and Madison were also in this episode.
No, but wasn't Miss Hauser was around before season 2?
But
Like,
I
she could have
still
been in
wanted a season
one.
2 episode so Jackie could be in it.
Fair. But do you think her and Amira and Jackie would be friends because of Miss Hauser?
Oh no, but then they'd all be seniors, so it'd have to be like beforehand.
Oh yeah, it would have had to have been season 1
Yeah.
at least at the later.
Which is fine. It still gives us Madison and Mac then, or Madison and Meg
Oh.
and Mac. It's a girls only
Madison,
episode.
Meg, and Mac.
Yeah, it's that episode we never saw.
All these
Mac and
M's.
Meg being friends.
Madison, Mac, and Meg is the real House of M. That's the House of M we deserve. But back to fashion. God, you can't let me do this. You can't let me take things. You know I'm in such a mood right now. Veronica's crop top peacoat thing, her half quarter peacoat she has, that like comes just below her rib cage. She's wearing it like at the school.
Is it like the maroonish
when she's-
one?
I think no, it's like black.
Okay. Yeah.
I want that. Like, I don't know how it would look on me because probably not great, but like it's just so fucking cute. It has like the stripe thing. I think it even has like a hood in the back. It's beautiful. It's like a crop top peacoat. It's like a fancy.
I mean, you and
crop top.
Kristen Bell are like the same basic size. So.
I that's what I was feeling like we could both. But she has like
she doesn't. Have,
she at least has an A cup. I have like a negative
when,
A cup.
That woman walks in and Veronica's like, what did she say?
Yeah, basically like, oh wow, she's hot. Like, look at those
boobs,
tits.
yeah.
Yeah, look at them tits.
I really like.
Oh, and Logan's.
Sorry, do you have more outfits? Sorry, I didn't.
I have one more. I'm sorry. I have one more. Logan's green polo, like towards the beginning. Like Logan looks good in a polo with those arms. Like those arms are gonna look good in any polo.
As we learned from WandaVision, sweaters do men well. Tight sweaters do men well. Who knew Paul Bettany? Who knew?
Holy shit! That man makes me feel some things I didn't know that man could make me feel. Like anything else, he looks like a troll.
I know.
But put him in WandaVision in black and white. Whoo,
You'd have to avoid the fact that he's old enough to be like Elizabeth Olsen's like dad, but whatever.
grandfather.
Okay, so I really liked Max. She had this like plaid jacket thing on. It had like a black band on the waist. Looked really good.
Mm-hmm.
It looked very. It reminded me of like something Veronica wore and just gave to Mac because she didn't want it anymore.
Oh my god.
Veronica,
You know Mac.
near the end of the show, the end of the episode, had like a maroon jacket with like these pinstripes on it that I really liked. I liked Veronica's party dress with her leather boots. I also liked
She was ready to come have a good time.
Mac's party outfit, like the skulls with the wings, and I like her side ponytail. Mac needs to wear that side pony more. I really enjoy
Because
it.
it's not like a side pony. Like you would look at it and be like, oh wow, she's wearing a side
Yeah.
pony. It just feels. It's like a side braid, but in a ponytail.
Because when I picture
Because how it falls.
I always picture Tina Majorino from what's that stupid
Napoleon
She wears a side
Dynamite.
pony in that.
Yeah. No, I think she wears a side Oh, yeah, she wears a side pony. No, I'm thinking she wears like a side pigtail.
Yes.
In like Napoleon Dynamite. That's what I was thinking in my mind when you were saying side pony. I was thinking side pigtail. I'm like, but it wasn't. It was
like a side ponytail.
No, it was a side pony.
And then I also like Parker's party dress. There's something about it that was really cute. I like the little knit sleeves.
Right
and
before
then,
her death glare to Veronica.
Yes, and I like Logan's red party shirt. Because you don't see Logan in red a lot, but it was a nice shirt.
No, you don't.
But it was like a nice
red. Is a very.
Red. It looked really good on him.
He matched Parker.
Well, she was in green, so I guess.
Oh, wait, no, I'm thinking, never mind. He matched Veronica. Because Veronica was wearing the red.
Veronica was wearing like a blackish blue dress.
Who?
No one was wearing red. Oh, no, one of the girls was wearing red. I think Piz's and Wallace's date was wearing red.
Oh, I think that was a black and red dress. Anyway, no, I was mixing that up when you said Veronica was wearing a red jacket. I was like, but then they matched, but then I didn't remember that. So that, sorry. I was thinking out loud. And
I just thought everyone looked really good at the party, is I guess what I'm saying.
I agree. Ready to move on to our next segment. Okay.
These are the jokes.
These are the quotes. In this segment, we're going to talk about our favorite quote of the episode and talk about it a little bit more. I know what you had, so what did you have?
I really enjoyed when Keith gives Bono and Biggie Smalls their IDs. No, not Bono. Was it Bon Jovi?
John Bon Jovi, yeah.
This picture is John Bon Jovi.
Yes, it is.
Biggie Smalls? We don't really all look alike, Mr. Mars.
I know that, Wallace.
I know that, Wallace. Like, he wasn't shook. Keith isn't a racist, so he's not, like, shaken by that. He's not going to get defensive about it. Oh, my God. Racism solved.
That was good.
No, that was such a good line, though.
Keith is hilarious. Like, Enrico Calienti is hilarious.
He has such a good deadpan delivery. Like, it's something you would only see from actors across the pond. And Enrico just does it so well.
Well, he's Canadian, isn't he? Yeah, he's Canadian, so...
Oh, that makes
across
sense.
the border.
That's like English light. It's like English, but with actual manners. Because the English like to pretend they have manners, but we don't.
It's like in Canada where we pretend racism doesn't exist. It's very, very much alive.
Y'all know how to hide it well.
We do.
And, America used to as well, but then we got Trump as president, and people are like, I could do it out loud. We elected him as
go
president.
to, like, middle Canada, it's very much alive. I mean, it's alive everywhere, but it's very much alive.
It's vocal.
It's Alberta's basically Texas, and we all know it.
Oh God! All right. So my favorite line is back to Mac and Logan. In which case, like, again, I am so upset that we did not get. We only hear that they've been spending all this time together.
It just takes me back to high school. Remember, Logan? We'd sit at the same lunch table and make fun of all the fat kids.
I'm sorry, we went to the same high school?
Yeah. We ran over that fisherman and promised to take the secret to our graves.
I remember the fisherman.
Remember, you bet your friends you could turn me into a super hot prom date as a joke, but you ended up falling in love with me.
Nope, lost it.
I want that episode. I'm not gonna lie. If I could get anything in life, it'd be an episode where Logan has to, like, doll up Mac and they fall in love.
After they had to, like, get rid of a fisherman's debt. I want all of this. I want this whole thing. Like, that they went from, like, burying a body.
I think Parker is supposed to be funny when she's like, stop, but she almost comes off as a wet blanket, and it kind of wrecks the scene for me.
Yeah,
and I don't know if it's just how it was written or how she delivered it or directed, but it didn't come off as, like, funny. And I wish... Because she can be a funny actress, and I think they just... I don't know what...
I'm wondering...
Okay, I don't think the writer likes Parker, because he basically destroyed her this episode.
But, again, this feels more like a direction choice.
This is also
like,
true.
I don't think the director liked Parker.
Yeah, I don't think the director liked Parker. Or he didn't...
Like, because as you said, you're like... I feel like it was supposed to be played funny, but it was played, like, somber in a way.
It was
like, I feel like he's like, no, take it back.
Yeah, I did not like it. Because it kind of wrecked
Maybe the director hates Julie. Yes!
Because as we've established last episode, the episode before, Parker and Mac are best friends now.
They're best friends, and Parker's like they're this little triad right now, and that should have been a fun little moment.
I find it funny how, and this kind of speaks to Veronica as like a character, but how when Veronica and Logan were dating, Mac didn't get that relationship with Logan until after. And I like how Veronica's a little annoyed with that, but it's also, Veronica, that's on you, girl.
Well, and I loved her moment where she's like, oh yeah, when he was acting all sweet. Yeah, when he was doing that with me. And she's like, yeah, that happened a lot. And I'm like, well, y'all just like don't know. Y'all are like little tornadoes with each other. It's hot to watch, but it's not good for each other. Okay. Ready for let's go into our next segment.
Yeah.
Go Pirates!
MVP, our most valuable pirate. In this segment, we like to choose the character we thought did the best of the episode, who we thought individually was the greatest. I'm going to give it to Keith.
Okay.
Because I don't know when I'm going to do it again. At least for this season. And I do like his follow-through with trying to get corruption out. He didn't give them like a slap on the wrist. He's like, no, you're fired. Like, get out. Yeah. Like, I told you all to do something. Like, I'm trying to keep these kids safe. And like, you're gone. Like, goodbye. Like, no matter how I personally feel whether or not he would be able to do that, I appreciate that he is putting his money where his mouth is and actually doing something about it instead of like just saying, I wish these cops were better. So I'm giving it to Keith. I didn't really have anyone else I wanted to like fight over it with. Like everyone else had good moments, but I was like, And I'm glad I didn't give it to Sax because I almost gave it to him. But after that revelation, maybe it's a good thing he died in the movie.
No, I still like Sax. I don't care.
I like him, but like I'm a little less ooh with him.
Him and Mrs. Hauser deserve each other after this episode. Because I assume they're still together.
Oh, yeah, that is fair and right. Who is your MVP?
So I was going to give it to Keith, but I actually talked myself out of it this episode. That's why I'm surprised you gave it to him. I talked
myself into it.
But I'm going to give it to Mac, because I think she really shined this episode, and we didn't, for being a series regular, this is kind of her first really great episode, I think.
Mac was on fire.
Mac was on fire because Tina Majorino is hilarious, and when they give her comedic stuff, she kills it, and they don't give her a lot of comedic stuff.
Oh my god, she was just like that. Like with my favorite quote, it was just delivered so well. Like it was funny, but like also her delivery of it,
and she plays off everyone so well. Like when she. Like, Mac, the stuff with her and Max is great. The stuff with her and Veronica is great. The stuff with her and Logan is great. Like, basically all her lines are very jokey this episode. And I like Mac as the comic relief. And I would preferred making Mac the comic relief of the series and not the rapist. But whatever, here we are.
Do you know how good that would have... But... You know why they wouldn't?
Because 2007,
smart character.
It's 2007. Women weren't funny yet. Okay,
that's true. We had to wait till 2017 for that. It's another 10 years before women would be funny.
She was ahead of her time.
Wow, this is just a crazy thing to think. Like there was a time when women were funny. Damn. Ugh. Look at Miss Majorino just like flip tables. Look at her break through that glass ceiling.
And I wish Tina Majorino.
I'm with her.
God, I wish she got more work, and I don't know if it's her or just...
Dude, I know!
Because, like, I really liked her on Grey's Anatomy, and they killed her off, and that really upset me. She had a lot... I don't know. And I think it's... I don't know if it's her not wanting to work as much, or just it's hard to find work. But I think she's amazing. I think she's one of my favorite things to come out of Veronica Mars.
Oh, 1,000% hands down.
And like, I also mad respect for her not returning for season 4. I know there's still a lot of fans that give her a lot of, like, negativity.
And I get it. I don't even think it was like malicious. It was just more like I don't want to come back for like a scene or two when like we had this good resolve for this character here. Like if it's just gonna be something that could potentially not be like, just keep it how it is. And I respect that. Like,
well, it's the same way.
She's my favorite character, but like
it's the same way I respect like when Amber Benson didn't want to return to Buffy as like the first as a villain. Because she didn't want Tara's last scenes to be a villain. I respect that.
That one, I respect that even more because that actually could have turned into something bad. Like if they didn't get that final moment with bringing back Tara as a good person, then that means our last moment with Tara was going to be her being evil.
But I personally would have been. Okay
I
with
know.
I personally would have really liked it. I would have loved for it, and I think I would have
killed. I would have killed.
Just the fact that we didn't get a proper person, like I think Cassie was a stupid choice. But anyway, this is not what we're talking about.
No, this is not. And we're at segments. We're at the second to last segment. We're moving into the last.
Yeah, so I give it to Mac. I give it to Mac.
Mac, ooh, good Mac, good Mac.
Pirate points are earned by being a contributing member of the school.
Pirate points. You heard about him in this episode. We got a little talk about him. But at the end of every episode, instead of giving it a numerical score or letter grade, we figure you know how we felt about it. So we
except for this episode, I don't know
how many pirate points.
If you guys
listen, we fell down the middle a bit. Okay. So I'll just go real quick. I'm giving it enough pirate points to give you the confidence of a white man writing about race.
Ooh.
I liked it. I thought it was a good episode overall.
I was gonna say that's a good. That's ooh. There's nothing like a confident white man writing about race or sexuality.
There's something about him, but also like ugh. I just want that confidence. I want that confidence.
I give this episode enough pirate points for a round of alcohol-free beer, all the pee and none of the fun.
They were drinking O'Doul. That was O'Doul's.
I don't think I've ever had alcohol-free beer because I don't see the point of it.
At all. Oh, I can tell you stories. But yeah, that brings us to the end of this episode. I feel that way we don't keep going on. Of course, an episode that has nothing to do with anything is over an hour and 10 minutes.
No, I knew this
was
going to be a longer episode because there actually was a lot to talk about. I had to say.
Okay, fair. Well, there was a lot of kids stuff to talk about, even though they're not kids. I get it. I know. But they're kids.
You sound like one of those. I hate, like, I have had managers who are like, okay, kiddies. I'm like, I'm 2 years younger than you. Calm the fuck down.
That's why I just call them campers. All right, campers, let's get this going. It just works better that way. Yes, that is the end of this episode. If you liked what you heard today, please be sure to subscribe to the podcast. That way you don't miss out on anything. I swear to God, we're trying to do, like, no breaks until we finish this. We are working on getting ahead. We will not. We're at the point right now where we're recording and editing it the day before this release.
Well, someone has a week off, so we're going to record a bunch of stuff.
We're going to get ahead of this.
We can't take a break now and be like, there's 3 episodes left, guys. We're just going to take a 5-week break.
We could. We would. But we won't.
Well, considering the fact we were going to like try to condense season 3 into like less episodes.
Oh, I was thinking about it for a while there. It's weird that like now that we're in the stretch, I'm like, this isn't that bad.
No,
we should have condensed the first part. Is what we should have done.
Oh yeah.
But subscribe to the podcast, Jesus Christ, Joseph, and rate it 5 stars. If you haven't, we would love you forever for that. We still love you for listening. If you want to follow us on Twitter and Instagram, we are at veronicamarspod on there. And you can find me personally at Ojo, that is OHJEAUX on Twitter. Come talk to me about X-Men because that's all I want to talk about anymore. And I'm sure Travis is literally going to strangle me because that's all I talk to him about.
It's
and
fine.
I know he's getting tired of it.
He's just angry that I'm not. I started really strong and I didn't follow through on reading the X-Men comics.
And that's fine. No, I'm fine with that. I just feel bad. That's all I want to talk about. And you're not even reading it.
You have like these 10. He'll like send me 10 messages at once, and I'll just be like, "Cool."
And I'll be like, "Oh yeah," and then it's just a big obsession right now. So where can they find you so that they could not talk to you about X-Men?
You guys can find me at Travis Truant. That's Travis, then Truant. Talk about X-Men.
Yeah, please do. That way I can jump in.
I was just thinking the other day how my main experience with Scarlet Witch was from X-Men Evolution. So for the longest time, I just thought she was a pure villain. But that's not at all the case.
Well, okay. The Great Pretender. No, she is like... Every mutant hates her now. Like, period. Like, end of story. She's not even a mutant anymore.
Yeah,
like,
because
she's the great pretender.
She was barely in the original X-Men animated series. In X-Men Evolution, she was part of the Brotherhood of Evil. And she was like...
Right, which she is a part of, like, the comics. She's
so I just always assumed she was a villain. But I've, like, learned... She was, like, a villain for, like, a very short period of time. Then became an Avenger. And then became a not good person.
See, I'm very limited with her, too, where I just know her at her time, like, with the X. I never followed her. I didn't read the event. I never cared
All
about the
I
fucking
know
Avengers.
is she's voiced by the same person who voiced Sailor Jupiter in the original animated series. So that's my key. But I do want to read House of M. That is something I should read.
I know House of M is good. I don't care what people say. Like, well, whatever. It's a very important part. Like, whether or not you like the end of it, how it what happens after it,
joke.
like the decimation. That's something
hate the killing
different.
Joke, but it's an important part of the
Killing Joke is horrible.
It's an important part of the Batman lore. They've made it very much important to the Batman lore.
Yeah, agreed. Let's not talk about this anymore. I have to edit this. So we will see you all next week for Veronica Mars, season 3.
Yes, we're still on season
episode.
This is not a season finale.
Well, I don't know. We've been getting a lot of those lately, so I can't be too sure whether or not. But anyway, we'll see you for Veronica Mars, season 3, episode 17, Debasement Tapes.
Because Max are at Leo's back.
Leo
back
and
again.
Paul Rudd. It's just going to be raining men in next week's episode, so I'm really excited about that. There's gonna be
I don't even remember
hotties.
who Paul Rudd plays, so I'm very excited.
A washed-up musician.
It's not going to ruin me like how it ruined me with Adam Scott, is it?
Oh, I don't think he's a rapist. All right, we will see you all next week. Hope you have a great day. Goodbye.
Bye.
You tried to say Veronica Mars. We get it. Girl detectives are bitchier than regular detectives. Not into it.